All right, people, calm down. Calm down. I was in Chicago this weekend or this week and talking to a few new college football fans. Well, they're not new college football fans, but I just met them. And we're reaching that point in the year when like the fall smell is in the air. It's a little crisp out. Looking outside, I can see leaves on the grass, and there's a definite deepening of the delusion going on in every college football fan's head. They continue to think that their team is like so close to being a team, even when they know it's not, and that their conference is so much more relevant than it really is, even though yeah, it probably isn't. Uh, it's bad right now, and it's getting worse. So many of you have like been fortunate enough though that at least you've come through hopefully some level-headed person smacking some sense into you. You've come to realize that yeah, I guess my team's not a team, but my conference is certainly a conference. That's like the next level of like delusion that happens. And that's a way to justify that your two or three or four loss team should be really close to a top 10 team because you were like that close in a conference that was that good. And you're clawing, scratching, trying to like logic your way up into any kind of sense of national relevance when in reality, yeah, your team's just not a team. And most of the games that are playing, they're just not games. Uh, yeah, in general, I'm just going to need everybody to calm down. All right, I heard a rumor. I met some new people and they started looking at my blog and I looked at views. And I think I went from like 5 views to 10. So this week I'm expanding the coverage a bit. It's going to be a little bigger. We're gonna go down to Florida. We're going to talk about some of that. We're going to bring in a few new teams because the delusion of college football is nationwide. I learned this in Chicago that geography and IQ and gender and age and nationality and even the millennial generation, none of these things can prevent the delusion from like overtaking your thoughts. That's what I'm here for, right? I'm here to help. So if you're new, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain why your team is probably not a team, and your game certainly probably isn't a game, and yeah, that's just what it is. Don't get me wrong. College football is great. I've learned to love college football the last few years. I've been to three live games in my life. Auburn, awesome. Notre Dame, awesome. Nebraska, awesome. The atmosphere and electricity is like second to none. You can't beat it. But the reality is that at the center of all that excitement is smoke and mirrors of expectation and tradition and entertainment and delusion and generally not necessarily a transcending relevance that your team is actually any good. So that being said, let's look at some games this week. Andre, it's for you. Nebraska at Indiana. Yeah, it's not a game. Like I know you're ranked number 10, but the only team you've beaten is Oregon. Uh, and I know in your mind we've talked. You want that to be a big win because Oregon like 3 years ago was relevant. 2 years ago probably was irrelevant. But it's your top 10 because you haven't played anybody and you got 5 wins. And today you play Indiana and you're thinking Indiana's come close against a couple teams, but just stop it. If Indiana's a team you're going to beat to be relevant, that's you're not a team and that's not a game. It's not a game. Let's go to the Sunshine State, Florida State, Wake Forest. All right, FSU fans, you had a good run. Your team is not a team, and this is not a game. This is not a game. Wake Forest, they're 2 3 losses. Forget it. And then you guys lost by 43. 43? Somebody on 43 on you. And then Dean Smith's North Carolina Tar Heels come in and give you another loss. 2 losses already in week 7 clearly puts you in not a team territory. Nope, it's not a team, and that is not a game. Florida, Missouri. Yeah, it's not a game. Look, Florida, you had a week off because you got some rain and you're well rested and you're playing a 3-loss team. I'm sure hope springs eternal that you got that one blemish against Tennessee. But today, more than likely, Tennessee gets exposed. They end up with 2 3 losses, and basically, like, yeah, you're gonna realize soon that you're deserving of not a team designation as well. So I'm just calling it now. It's not a team, and that's not a game. Hardin, Georgia. Hardin. Look, I wanted to like call one of your games a game this year, but I don't think it's gonna happen. You're not a team and you're not a game. I wanted the whole thing to work out with the new coach and everything, but in Vandy, I get it. How if you're a Georgia fan, you're gonna think this is a game, and Vandy's like one of those teams you play to get better. And if you're playing a game to get better, like show me a game where a team's playing to get better, and I'll show you a game that's not a game. Um, yeah, hard and sorry. Georgia Vandy's not a game. Thad, hey, I met a West Coast guy. I got one West Coast guy like who may be watching the blog. It was a great meeting in Chicago, but as we discussed at the Marriott, Stanford is not a team. Yeah, there's not a team, and yeah, I mean Stanford, Notre Dame. Can you get a much more like traditionally hyped two schools than that? But Notre Dame is clearly not a team all year long. Not a team. And yeah, neither are you, Stanford. So this is not a game. Yeah, it's just Stanford, Notre Dame. Not a game. Not a game. Okay, there's two big elephants in the room this weekend. Let's talk about them. Uh, Everybody thinks these are games. Conference shills are hyping Alabama, Tennessee, and Ohio State, Wisconsin as much watch games. Again, it goes back to the delusion that you want the two or three best teams in your league to be the greatest in the history of the world. But in reality, let's kind of take a closer look at what we got going on here. Alabama, Tennessee. Tennessee's coming off a loss to A&M. It was almost a game. In hindsight, I'm glad I didn't really call it a game because, admit it, you kind of forgot about it already, right? I mean, it's just kind of the week to week hype. You forgot about the Tennessee A&M game because now Tennessee's playing Alabama. But more than likely today, Alabama's going to beat Tennessee, and Tennessee will end up with 3 to 4 losses because they just will. And a 3 to 4 loss team, yeah, it's just not a team, which makes it not a game. But there's a possibility that could be wrong. Tennessee could pull an upset. They don't play anybody the rest of the year, so they could run the table. I don't know what would happen in kind of a conference championship game or a bowl scenario. They'd probably lose there, so I'll give this half a game. Alabama, Tennessee, it's half a game. It's half a game. All right, then you got Ohio State, Wisconsin. Israel, you got to be nervously elated. Finally, at least it seems like Ohio State's going to play somebody. Um, Maybe. Look, Wisconsin beat LSU when everyone thought they were a team, and they weren't a team. And then they beat Michigan State when everyone thought they were a team, and they're clearly not a team. And then they lost to Michigan 14-7, and everybody thinks Michigan's a team. That was a close game, but who was Michigan beating? Nobody. So I mean, I'm thinking more than likely Michigan, Wisconsin are more than likely overrated and probably simply a kind of best of the rest at the end of the year. So yeah, I don't know. Just like Alabama, Tennessee, there's a chance I could be wrong, but so I'll give it half a game. It's a half a game. So here's what I do: you watch both games. Watch Alabama, Tennessee, and then watch Ohio State, Wisconsin, and do that picture-in-picture thing. Right? You watch both of them at the same time. You got two half games. There, you got a game. There's one game this weekend. It's kind of two half games. All right, that's it. Look, don't believe the delusion. You're like wasting a lot of good psychological mental energy every fall by buying into the hype and excitement. And really, when you look at the quality of the product, a lot of times it just isn't there. So don't buy the hype. Find something to do. Live your life. Watch those two games tonight at the same time, picture in picture, and you got one game. There's one game to watch. Have fun watching that game this weekend. Thanks. That's all I got.